most agents have a false sense of security as it relates to brokerage models and having a broker that has their back. And I'm going to dive into one of the biggest ones today. So hopefully you will find this really, really helpful. My name is Janine Sasso. I'm the owner and founder of the Hyperlocal Agent, and we are on a mission to empower more agents to make better choices for themselves, their businesses, and yes, become the hyperlocal agent of choice. So what am I talking about on this one? I've had a lot of conversations. I've had a lot of people reach out to me actually and ask like, hey, if you're ever looking to switch brokerages, right, here's our menu of what we offer essentially. And more and more and more, do I see something on there that says free CRM, or you have a CRM and then you pay a technology fee, which seems amazing, right? It seems like, oh my gosh, I don't have this cost anymore. This seems great. And that's the false sense of security that we're going to talk about today, because when you look at your CRM, right, your contact relationship management tool that is really your book of business, it is the backbone of you as a small business. It seems, wouldn't it be nice if somebody else paid that bill, right? It seems like the easy button. And the more we have CRMs rolling out, the more choices you have. I personally started with a fairly low-cost CRM. Well, let me back up. When I started, I had a notebook. I had a notebook that I would literally put my lead information in on paper. Yes, and this was 2015. I'm like, that wasn't that long ago. So we did a notebook, and if I got a lead, I would put it in there. And every week I would go through this little book, page by page by page, right? And then it got more and more and more. And I'm like, okay, there's got to be a better way. Now, if you are brand new to business like I was, I'm like, okay, what can I do to make this more streamlined? And I stumbled upon CRM, Customer Relationship Management Tool. So I started investigating CRMs, and I'm like, man, that's kind of cool. It's like an underpaid assistant, essentially. So I decided I'm going to look for, some of the top features that I think a CRM should have, which we do have another video on that one. We'll see if we can link it. And when I settled on 3, I created my free account on 3 of them and decided, okay, I'm going to just give it a test run. Now, that was when I started out, right? As my business grew, I realized that my CRM had certain limitations, and it wasn't capable of growing with me in the capacity that I wanted to. And that then sparked a whole new world of, let me see what else is out there, because when you are growing a business, right, eventually you outgrow what you have. And one of the things I want to point out is when I started going down the rabbit hole of what CRM is best, what should I use, price was a big consideration, right? And it is for a lot of people. Now, the very first one I had, I want to say it was like $29 a month. Okay, $29 a month, and it felt like such a big commitment. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have this expense of this thing that I can't even see. But it's supposed to be the backbone of my business. I'm like, okay, but it made sense. It started to organize me. It started to, make sure that nothing was falling through the cracks. And I was not the only one responsible for thinking about something, right? I could just log in and it would tell me right there and then, hey, here are the things that you need to do today. Let's go get some stuff done. And it was amazing. So now, fast forward back to the topic of why I think it's a false sense of security. If you are given a CRM, a free CRM, first off, if it is free, it's never free. I compare it to your free Gmail account, right? Gmail, yes, you get a free email account, but it's not free. You end up being the product that is then being sold because they collect data on you. That data they can then use to leverage on their Google Ads, etc., etc. So free is never free. But one of those things then becomes either you have a technology fee, right? And then the question becomes, okay, now that you have this CRM, if you ever decided in your career that you were no longer aligned with a brokerage, you then have the transition cost. Okay. Now let's assume your CRM people, and you don't have to be with that brokerage in order for you to take your account with. Sounds great, right? When we have these discussions with members that we help, we always tell them, look at all the pros and cons. If you're at the end of the career and you do not foresee a switch, there's probably not a whole ton of risk, right? If you are, however, in your career and you say, you know what, I probably have another 20, 30 years left that I want to grow my business, is it in your best interest? That question you have to answer for yourself. So, example, I just recently had somebody change brokerages and they said, oh, you know what, we're going to have a free CRM. I'm like, that's awesome. You're going to use it? Yeah, I think I'm going to use this one. I'm like, great. Make sure you look into what that CRM were to cost you on your own without your brokerage subsidy if you decided to make a move. And why do I have these conversations? Because if you are in a position that you then say, oh my gosh, either I have to move my entire database from one place to the other, that is time consuming, it is disruptive to your business, it's really not a fun task. And then the other part is, if you were to take it with you, what's the cost? So let me tell you that CRM actually was going to come out to like $700 a month. Okay, most people do not look this deep. They're like, oh, free CRM, I don't have to pay for that. Okay, long-term goals. And that is probably the biggest lesson that I want you to take away from today's episode. What are your long-term goals? Because if you are in real estate for the long run and you're looking for an easy way to like trim your bills, right? Like we all do. My profit margins are extremely high because I'm always looking at my bottom line. Like, where can I make sure that I'm not wasting money? Okay, I hate wasting money, but I also want to know that I am personally well invested. So here's the thing, I personally use geoessential.com. It runs the entire backbone of my business for now and for the long run. $200 a month, $2,400 for the year, all set. Business is operating at optimal speed. So if you've been thinking about it, I'll drop the link, but go and make sure that you are set up for the long run on this one. All right, any questions as always, let me know, and thanks so much for tuning in.